Hey, everybody, welcome to Tuesday night. It's the Golden Guys. Here we are. We are just like the Golden Girls without all the sex appeal. Rose will be here in a little bit. She's out there shaking herself around. We are ready to go. Nights is going to be coming joining. He's got a little bit of PC issues. He'll be joining us very shortly here. But we do have my buddy DS here. How we doing, DS?
I am doing great. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I don't really have anything new, but I'm doing good. I'm at the end of my weekend, so I go back to my day job tomorrow. So
we're gonna have Lewis on next week. He is expecting 4 books coming in. He had those nice 2 wins on Heritage, and he had a really nice, good, I guess, a good eBay purchase and something else that was not. He won a lot of Fox books, a lot of Fox.
Yeah, they had a lot of Fox books the last couple of weeks on Heritage.
Yeah, I think it has to do with the recent sales that have been like 6 months ago, 8 months ago there. And
yeah, I watched a Wonder World. It wasn't one of the best Wonder Worlds, but it was a Lou Fine. It was 2.5. And again, I didn't bid on this one because this one I like the other one better that I lost on, but this one sold for like $3,800 as a 2.5. And yeah, it's a Lou Fine Wonder World in a 2.5, but it wasn't like one of the top ones.
And it's not that scarce. I mean, there are more Wonder Worlds and there are fantastic. So
yeah, I mean they're all pretty rare, but I mean $3,800 for a 2.5, I feel like that's a $1,200 book. And so Fox books are blowing up, and it doesn't even have to be one of like the key covers of the Fox books. They're just all blowing up. So
yeah. I like, even myself. I just picked up 2 Fox books between the Ziegler #2 and the JoJo, I think 14, which is on hold because I'm waiting to build a box. I actually put a few things in there, and with Pete Swan and his group on on Facebook. He's Good Old Comics, great, one of the best. Facebook does a lot of positive things for everybody. It's really good. I guess we're gonna do a little show and tell. But anyways, Frank Frazetta's 93rd birthday, if he lived. For those of you that don't know, he passed away in 2010 at 82. Hopefully we'll get. I know our buddy Knights is coming on, and he's going to show some pictures of some stuff. I have some books I'm going to show. I'm going to stick to the Jim Warren, not Golden Age stuff of Frazetta, because that's my introduction. Frazetta wasn't Thunder 7 or Weird Science or anything else. My first experience with Frazetta was going to the comic shop and me looking at all these cool horror books from the House of Secrets and stuff that were in the back lot. And underneath there was these boxes of Vampirillas and Creepies and Eries. And I was always a big fan of those. And so I just picked out 4 of my favorite Frazetta, all Creepies. I have my Eries separate, but I didn't want to show the one Erie I was going to show was the T-Rex one, but it's not one of my favorites. It has more to do with what's inside of it than it is that cover. But I just picked out my favorite 4 covers of Frazetta. I do have some Frazetta comics that I'm looking at. I do have I have Death Dealer, all from Image. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, I love that.
We're about to bring in our Knights right here.
What's up, Knights?
Are you ready?
Hey,
how are you doing, Knights?
All right. Sorry, some weird difficulties.
Yeah, so let me tell you some Frazetta little background from like my perspective of it. But I grew up in Northeast Pennsylvania, and only like 30 minutes down the road from Stroudsburg, PA, and that's where he's from.
His museum is there, right?
Yes, his museum is there. His family's there. His son is there. His son actually opened a Halloween costume store in Stroudsburg. And I had a family member who went to college in that town. I spent some time there. I've been to that store. I wasn't into comics at the last time I was hanging around there. It was probably like, I don't know, in the early 2000s or something. But that costume store, I don't even know if it's still there, but it's Frazetta's son, and it's like a Frazetta Halloween store. So it's like really creepy, like to the max cool stuff. It's a big store. It's not like Party City. It's creepy stuff.
Like Death Dealer and all that fun
Yeah, it's just a really cool Halloween store, and it's open year round. It's almost like a museum, really. It's just fun to go walk around in that place. But, yeah, so I grew up pretty close to a bunch of Frazetta stuff. I never, had any encounters with him or went to the museum or anything, but yeah, so pretty cool.
Wow, I was
You
in
go to that
Strasbourg.
museum?
No, I went to the only thing I've been to was the Halloween store a few times. I didn't go to the museum. It was a period of time in my life when I wasn't into comics and I wasn't interested in Frazetta stuff. I didn't really know much about it. That would have been after when I was younger collecting comics in the early 90s and then got out of the hobby. And it would have been several years after that where I just wasn't into comics or art or Frazetta at all.
I used to have to go to Strasbourg.
Being a famous artist.
I used to have to go to Strasbourg all the time. I used to always I would have to take a bus from Port Authority in Manhattan with all my gear and go to the bus stop in Strasbourg to go play in the Poconos.
Poconos.
Yeah, there was a hockey thing I always used to go to in the Poconos, and I was trying to get better, and it was like a camp there, and you'd stay there for like 4 days, and I'd always be stuck in Strasbourg for a day. And I only remember the bus stop and everything, but I had no idea that's where Frazetta was. And that was probably in like mid 90s. Yeah, like 92, 93, 94, 95, maybe.
Yeah, I was there. If I would have known you, we could have hung out. But.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was a long-haired hockey player nut. But I used to go there for the camp. It was funny. We were at one place, and I kid you not, we had to go to this place, and the hotel where the resort we were supposed to be at, the Poconos, there was like some kind of storm came in, and they lost power, so they had to put us up, hockey players, in a place called the Caesars Resort. So I had to share a room with one of my line mates, and there was a champagne glass tub in the middle of the damn thing. It was like a couples resort we ended up going to. Yeah. It was hysterical, but it's kind of funny because it was there was like heart shaped, like the coach would like come out and goes, okay, I'm sure everybody enjoyed their heart shaped tubs before we get out there, but it's time to man up. We got 8 hours of this, so but it was fun.
Poconos. The Poconos when I grew up there, I was a kid there all through the 80s and through high school, first half of the 90s. The Poconos is basically where everybody from New York City would go for vacation.
Yeah.
And then
the Jersey Shore. Yeah.
Yeah. In more recent times, a lot of people who lived in the city have moved out. And so there's a very heavy metropolitan New York vibe in the Poconos now, residents and people there. And you'll see a lot more of the commerce is geared towards people who have a metro New York sort of lifestyle. So it's really changed over the last like 30 years.
Wow.
But yeah, it used to be like the playground, the cheap playground that was closed for people in New York City to go travel to the Poconos and have vacations there. So yeah, they have cool resorts and everything there. It's pretty nice. They got casino there now too.
Oh, wow. Knights, how are you? Sorry.
Pretty good. That. Busy. I was getting this Frazetta thing together, and then my USB thing kept wigging out. I don't know. But I was annoyed because I ordered something from Japan and they sent it to Hong Kong. I'm just like, what? Usually they're really good. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
It's Chinese New Year right now. It's Chinese New Year right now too. So.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was on the phone. I was on the phone with China today on some stuff. I finally joined.
Wait, one more, and then another auction. I got this one, and then they're just like, no, the guy canceled, and it's just like, oh God. So you get a bad rap for that on eBay, but there's nothing. I don't know if that's reflected over there or not. But anyway, go for it.
All right, so my one pickup. Well, but the pickup I'm going to share. I joined the other two. Finally, and timely. Thank you very much. He's a guy on the CGC boards. Great guy. Had a great deal on these. These came sealed. I took the seal off just before we aired. Just took them off. I got them this afternoon. My postal worker held them for me because of the weather we had here. It was -9 and the door froze What are you gonna do? But here they are. I finally graduated to having the Gerber journals. These are the Golden Age 1 and 2. I got a price. I never thought I couldn't find them at my local shop, and I couldn't order them from them. And I am just gonna probably not. I'm gonna have these on my desk until the desk breaks. Luckily, I got a solid walnut desk here. But I mean, this is just what a great call. Thank you guys very much. Thank you, Timely. Thank you.
I was
Timely.
worried I would have to give you those like I gave them to DS.
Yeah, I mean, I think these are. Everybody's favorite comics are right here on page 1, and I look at the back of page 2, and I just look at every book that we've talked about or had on here, or between the adventure comics. I could just look at this, and there's Lou Fine, there's a lot of LB Cole and Punch 12 on the back, Suspense 3. Oh, good stuff. So it's Frazetta's birthday. I'm going to call out the chat in a little bit. Happy birthday, Frank Frazetta. If anybody on the chat wants to share their favorite Frank Frazetta book, story, or something, if you get the picture of him with Clint Eastwood, let me know. If not, I'll download.
I don't have that.
I'll have that because that's one of my favorite pictures I've ever seen. So.
Yeah, I've got a few Frazetta books I'll show.
Yeah.
Go for it. I'm set.
Yeah, we'll do some Frazetta show and tell. I'll show the Warrens in the middle because I got them here, but I'm going to download a cool picture. So here we go. DS, you're there, and then we'll call out the chat in a little bit.
Oh, all right, cool. So my favorite Frazetta comics are the Famous Funnies, which I think he did the covers, or Buck Rogers covers from the 50s. I think it's from Famous Funnies 209 to 215, I think, or it might be 208. I think it's 209. I'm not 100%. But I
got all those on my little special thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, we'll see. And my favorite one is 213. Then right under that, I like 212 and 214. So basically 212, 213, and 214 are my favorites. I passed up on them before. The prices got much higher, and I just haven't scored one. So we're going to see some lower grade, lower tier Frazetta stuff, but I do have one pretty big one. So I've got 3 Frazettas. This is a title that's pretty cool. He only did 2 covers, and I have both of them in the run. Straight Arrow 22. Sort of an underrated book. This is a good-looking 4/5 off-white to white Frazetta cover. Pretty brutal. I've shown this a few times. This attempted scalping of an infant being pulled from the mother's arms, and Straight Arrow's coming in to save the day. So that's a Frazetta. That's Straight Arrow 22. Yeah, Straight Arrow 22. Yeah, so pretty nice. And this book's not real hard to find and not real expensive. And a really cool Frazetta cover. I don't know. I think it's a good one to pick up if you like Frazetta. And then the bigger one in that run, I think, is his other cover, Straight Arrow number 3. And that's this one with the bear that most people, I don't know, don't like or just think it's a terribly drawn bear.
I love it.
I think it's good. He drew all these hairs like individually on the bear. It's insane line work on this thing.
Ugh.
So really intense cool cover. And then, of course, this guy in the background is taking a beating. Good action cover. This is a nice copy. This was actually a CPR fail. This was a 9.0, which I cracked out, looked at it, and I'm like, there's not really anything to do. So I didn't do anything. I just resubbed it raw, and it came back at 8.5. So it was one of those fence sitters, 8.590. And but yeah, it's nice. I think it should be a little higher than an 8.5, but still a nice copy. Nice white cover.
I did hear from 2 or 3 pressers that send a lot of books into CGC on behalf of a lot of people, and they said they are killing books right now.
Yeah, I haven't CPR'd in a minute. I slowed down on CPRs because I'm not trusting they're going to come back with bumps.
Yeah,
this one has a cool skin on it too.
That is a really cool book. I always liked the Straight Arrow one. I always thought it was really cool.
Yeah, and then so the biggest Frazetta I have is a PCH book, and it's Beware 10.
I had
pretty nice copy. It's not the best copy in the world, but it's an expensive book. But yeah, wrote a 4.0 off-white to white.
Great book. That was one of the 6 books I chose on the our thumbnail for the show tonight. I said I have to put a Beware 10 in there because it's just one of my favorite books. And I'm not a huge pre-code horror fan. I'm a Frazetta fan. I think that's just an underrated work of his.
Yeah, I think the price on this is a little down right now. I think it has room to grow. I wouldn't mind getting a brighter copy. This one is not as the whites are not as fresh as I would like, but I've got one locked in now, so I think a little bit undervalued. There's not a lot of Frazetta comic stuff out there. There's a lot of Frazetta paintings and like more in publication type stuff, but this is his best PCH. And then those famous funnies for like sci-fi type stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Beware 10. This is, been on my list for a long time, and I just picked it up last year, so I'm pretty happy to get it. And off-white to white is nice. Pretty decent presenting 4.0. So those are the only Frazettas I have.
Nice. All right.
I'm ready if you want to show. If you want to.
Well, yeah. Bring you up. How do you want me to do this? You want to be on the big screen or?
Yeah, sharing the. Boom.
You want me to show the Clint Eastwood real quick?
Oh, sure.
All right. So here's a picture of Frank Frazetta and Clint Eastwood here on a great drawing. And I realized, and I did some research, that they actually used to hang out, and they were fans of each other, and drew this lovely image here. It was drawn by Frank Frazetta of him.
Oh, that's cool.
That's really cool. But this is a famous one. I've seen it in black and white. I've seen it in color. I just think it kind of adds with the sepia tone to it. I mean, let's be honest. You have an American icon and two American icons.
That's just some movie. I always want to like see it, but then it's like I never even heard of it. I think.
Well, I always wondered if you're fans of the movie The Outlaw Josie Wales, there's artwork that's done on it that's not a picture, and I want to know who always did it because the line work reminded me of Frazetta. And someone said it might have. I don't know if it is or not. I'm not going to go that route. But someone said, "Did you know they actually hung out?" And then they showed me that picture. I said, "No, I had no idea." But if you ever see the cover of The Outlaw Josie Wales, but here we go, Knights. We're going to do a little walk down Frank Frazetta Lane.
Tell me when you see it.
You're on it.
All right. So this is just one of the earliest pictures I ever saw. I think he's smoking, pretending, hopefully, to smoke pipes, I guess. Mm-hmm. I think they're born in Brooklyn. And he was like supposedly an amazing baseball player, like almost pro. Whatever that means, but this is my favorite run of his for comics, and
you have to bust the crab up there. Good call.
The 10, the 10. It's kind of a run, even though the Buster and the Weird Science Fantasy aren't consecutive parts of this. They're all pretty much Buck Rogers. So I'll start with. We got that one, super nice. And then I tried to find most of the original arts too. His line work is incredible. Mm-hmm. It's so like fine, but yeah. This one,
that's good.
Which, after seeing this, I like it a lot more for some reason.
Yeah.
What do you think, DS?
He likes colors, remember?
But I forget which ones he liked or not.
All of them. So I like this one. This is my second favorite of the famous.
Second favorite?
Yeah. You're going to show my favorite one probably right after this.
Look at that. That's incredible. This might be my favorite. I'm not sure.
A lot of people like this as their favorite.
I love the way he drew him.
I like the perspective on that one, and I think a lot of people on the comic book itself, not the original art, obviously, but it doesn't get a whole lot of respect. I feel like a lot of people are not fans of this one. I like it.
Yeah, I really like it. I used to not, but it just kind of grew on me. This one I could not find the original art for anywhere, but I'm pretty sure that it does exist somewhere.
Yeah, 212, the start of my favorite 3 in the run.
Right now, I think the next one is my favorite.
That's a pretty awesome one.
213.
Oh, this one's
there. It is. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, there's something about this that
Yeah.
It's eerie. I've seen that picture of the original art before, and and I'm just saying right now, the Frankenstein Wrightson has so much detail in the background, but this is the first piece where if you look at the background of that ship, it's
Yeah.
it's not a picture, it's hand drawn, and that's so Frazetta-esque, where you can realize the true talent of a modern day, Da Vinci or Michelangelo in a way.
Well, there were 275s that sold within the last 6 months. The 175, I was trying to buy it, and I was going to bid like up to $4,000 for it. I thought $4,000 for a 75 was strong at the time. And it was early on in the run of these coming out to market where the prices have been skyrocketing. So yeah, here I am, 75, $4,000. I'm going to pick this up. It went for over $9,000. Over
Oh
$9,000.
my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then another 7.5 came up like 2 weeks later on another auction, and I knew it was even a waste of time. And that one went for like 7 or 8, so it was a little lower, but still. And then I've seen, 3.0s and 4.0s going for $5,000. So it's a pretty expensive book at this point. I had a chance at a 4.0 of this for like $500 2 years ago, and I didn't buy it.
Yeah, Famous Funnies 213 has been on my list of my number one Frazetta piece. For Frazetta comic I like the most.
For a long time, like 1,000, you could get whatever the hell you wanted for the whole run.
I mean, even if you just follow this run, go 2 books before he starts, and you can get those for under $100 and probably a high grade.
Well, aside from 212 and 213 and 214, the other ones are still fairly affordable. You can pick up VG copies for like $700. And I say affordable because a VG of this will be several thousand at this point. But the 209, the 210, the 211, you can pick up VG copies of that for $700 or $800 probably. And you can probably score one even a little lower if you have a nice raw at my comic shop or something. But the 12, 13, and 14, forget it. Those are multi-$1,000 books in any grade now.
Now the only thing I don't like is the lady looks like, I don't know, she's like turning into like Igor or something.
Well, she's an alien.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's not human.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I love obviously the background is amazing, but I don't think that's Frazetta's where he shines the best. I think Wally Wood could do just as good kind of electronics, but
yeah, I think the best thing about that is the creature is shrouded in shadow and darkness, but his foot's coming in and he's just entering the light, so there's a real sketchy feel to it because you can't see features, but just the figure is very ominous. And of course, purple and yellow on a book like this is just so striking.
Exactly. And I say the colors on it are great, but you're right. The creature, it's that second layer of a book when you got all color and you've got something coming in from a shadow and it's a second layer.
All right, fine.
Yeah, it's got that depth.
I always tell you guys, I'm going to use this book as an example. This is Tales of Suspense 3. It's postcode. It's 1959, so it's a beat up copy. It's my reader copy. But this is Buscema, and I like it the most because the humans are. I'll show this when I do it, but I always call this a Frazetta style cover, and I'll get into that when I get into the next part. But that I use that as that's my Frazetta comic that I love the most.
And let's see, this one's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's the third one I like.
That's 214. It's
yeah, there's not a lot to this one, but the detail on the gaseous clouds on the bottom and the craters and the features on the planet in that like dark blood red almost on the cover is great. And then I don't know, it looks like some shaggy hippie on top of the spaceship out in space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what year is it? Well, what year was this?
Guy.
52?
It's probably 54. It's getting
54.
So we are still 14 years away from Apollo 8 getting that close to the moon, and he's got better detail images than the footage we got back. But I do love that alien on there. I do love the Buck Rogers. I do like this one. This is up there. As we said, my first favorite one was the other one, the one we showed with the underwater, and then the monster one. I always consider 213 is my second.
And as far as his signatures, it stands out on this one more than a lot of others because he put it in a white box against that red planet, and it's the double lines for the F's, and it's just his signature looks so awesome on this book too.
Yeah.
It's not like a lot of signatures of his where it's just signed. It's actually in a white box, which normally would be a little obtrusive on a cover like that, but it fits so well on there. It's just such a great work of art.
This little detail here.
There's a good signature on this one too. Yeah, it's on the brick. It's like carved into the brick.
And if anybody is a fan of Robert Fawcett, the artist who predates these guys by about 30 years, I don't know if Frazetta was influenced by him or something, but there's a Robert Foster-esque to this and to his work. And Robert Fawcett, if you don't know, is just take your time and look at some of Robert Fawcett's work. I do think he's a very underrated artist together.
Yeah, and if you're a hardcore Frazetta fan, Thunda 1 is a good book to pick up because it's only cover-to-cover work of his. But when you're familiar with the Frazetta stuff out there for comic book stuff, and like you see these covers we're looking at, and then the cover art on Thunda is very subpar for the rest of his stuff.
I agree with you. I mean,
if you're really deep diving as a Frazetta historian and you want to complete your collection, you need that. But otherwise, it's not some book I would ever pick up.
Right.
But this stuff is top notch. This is. I would buy this one, but I want those other three. But this one's really tough to find. Very, very tough one to find here.
I think it's 210 and 213 are my favorites. So.
I think this is the toughest of all of them to find in that run.
Yeah, this is one that I've heard people. This one I did see at DS. Was it at Baltimore? Or was it at C2E2? I think it was at. Baltimore.
I wasn't at C2E2, so I don't remember seeing this at Baltimore.
It was one at Baltimore. It was I think a 5.0. And
look at this comic code thing over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that before.
Confirmed. Yeah, these are not like in the grand scheme of Golden Age books that rare. There's 50, 60, 70 sort of on the census. They come up a lot, but then you get towards the end of the run and they're much harder to find.
Yeah, the guy said that this one, I think it was a 5.0, and I think he was asking close to 5,000 for it.
5,000 on this one,
or 3,000 and change, and this and another book, the Weird Tales he had together, the Weird Science one.
Yeah, I think probably a VG on that octopus or squid one. A VG on that probably. Oh, I don't know, 700 or 800.
I can say at least 900 now.
1,000. It's pretty cool. This one is not going to be super expensive. Still cool, but it's not as good as the other ones.
Yeah, the original art is pretty nice. But yeah, I mean, it's a bunch of guys bums. Mm-hmm. I wish that you could see what the hell they were even doing, but
yeah, I never can tell what's going on in that one.
This one,
and this is a classic,
probably the best.
Very common, but also be careful of your raws. It's also one of the most restored, touched books I've ever seen. I think at every con you'll find one or two purple labels on a lot of tables. I've seen a lot of amateur color touch. I mean, I've gone to cons and I've talked to people who says, "Look, that's not the right coloring for it."
Yeah, I'll tell you, this book is pretty common. It's an EC book. That was meant to be a Buck Rogers cover for Famous Funnies. They changed it because of the code, and he sort of redid it as a cape. Oh, there you go. There's the original Buck Rogers drawing for it.
Yeah, he did it again, I guess, or something. Yeah. So there's his cap.
There's actually a really nice 5.5 on eBay right now for $6.99. And I think it's one of those sellers that you can go to their individual site maybe, but I'm surprised it hasn't sold because a 5.5, it's a really good looking 5.5. And it's like $6.99. And so if anybody's looking for a nice copy of this, the one on eBay is really nice. I've thought about buying it.
Nice.
I used to have a 4.5 of this, but I sold it.
Yeah, I had a raw copy. I got graded a 2.5 blue, and the guy offered me a reasonable trade. He wanted it, and I said, okay, I'm a big Frazetta fan. This is one I've seen the most, and when I go in the highest condition stuff, I'm going to get into that with the books I'm going to show. But and again, this is another one that has that second tone feel to it. With the oh, there's that Ghost Rider. This is my favorite Ghost Rider cover, period. And it's more the horse than it is anything else. The mane of the horse.
Yeah, I like this one. It's got a train on it, and the explosion is covers the. It's on the whole cover.
Crazy. Yeah,
it's a really good one.
I'm not knocking Dick Ayers by any means at all. I love Dick Ayers as Ghost Rider as well, but when you look at this book and you look at the way that horse is drawn, and if anybody knows, all my favorite artists always drew horses really well, whether it be Buscema, Dick Ayers, or Frazetta, or Gil Kane for that matter. Always there's something about the drawing of a horse, because it was when I learned to draw, my father and my grandmother taught me how to draw horses first. So
I read in an interview.
Twitter stuff is pretty popular, and it's not cheap, but it's not off the wall because it's not horror or sci-fi. But if you want some Frazetta stuff, but you don't even want to pay the prices for the Ghost Rider, you can get equivalently good stuff of basically the same in the Tim Holt title, or the B-Bar B Riders has a couple covers of his too. And there's a couple Tim Holt covers of his that are really awesome, and they go for less because they're not a Ghost Rider title, which I don't understand. It's just as good.
It even looked like this. It'll just say Tim Holt on top with the photo cover of Tim Holt in the circle in the upper corner.
I read or saw. I watched his documentary Fire and Ice, I think it's called, which is pretty cool. Anyway, but that I can't remember. It was some like other famous artists, but he was saying like Frank could just draw like any animal off the top of his head, and it looked like amazing and alive. So I don't know.
I do joke when my daughter asked me to draw something. I always want her to say draw like a character or something, because that's a lot easier for me to draw a Spider-Gwen than if she says draw me a dinosaur. I'm like, all right.
Yeah,
because I really get into that, the drawing the dinosaur or drawing the dog or drawing the horse or drawing the cat. I get into that. So
God, this original art is incredible.
I still don't say. What did you and I say about $1.5 million? You think it'll break that?
No,
I don't think it breaks.
I'm $1 million on the 29. That Buck Rogers, the last Weird Science one, but I don't know about this.
Yeah, this one.
But that hair is amazing.
It is.
God.
Yeah, I think the best Golden Age artists for drawing female figures and female hair, just females, is Frank Frazetta and Matt Baker. Those are the top two. Now, you don't usually ever hear Frank Frazetta mentioned in that. It's always Matt Baker, Wally Wood, or somebody like that.
I always
I
got to throw Jack Kamen and Joe Doolin up there as well.
Yeah, they're good. I got Frazetta and Baker at the top for me.
Yeah, I agree with you on Baker and Frazetta. I just always throw. I don't think Kamen and Doolin. I don't, for some reason, the hair, because they draw a lot of good girl art, and that's one of the things. There's a lot more to choose from of theirs, since they focus so much on good girl art, like Baker did. Frazetta, not so much. But.
And I'm not sure.
The woman on this one, it's just.
Hang on. We got to bring on the big screens at the Beware.
It's really the best part of this. It's just, he has a certain style in drawing a female figure with the hair and just the curves, and it's just, I don't know. It's almost like an intangible. Like, it's perfect, but you can't exactly place why specifically. But it's just, it has that look. You know what I mean? Yeah, just really well done. Of course, he does zombies pretty good too, apparently. But yeah, I don't know. It's really, really well drawn.
Nice.
It's a little offset. The color strike is not ideal on this one.
It's gorgeous. I do love that book.
Yeah, it's cool.
You got one more?
Yep, there's a few more here. Then I'm not sure which book this is from, but man, this is awesome war panel that he drew.
Go to the top. Stranded.
So cool. Everything looks alive.
It might be an interior in one of the combat.
His Blazing Combat, maybe.
Combat magazines. It might be an interior.
I was going to think of that one would be a good call. And I do love that the helmet with the almost symmetrical every line in the helmet is facing the same way, gives it added depth out of nowhere. You know, it's such a talent that if anybody I've never had the opportunity to study art. I was only trained, like I learned how to draw by watching my grandmother and patience and stuff like that. But I do think it's an amazing trait to have that ability.
Well, when I went to art school, I loved Frazetta, and apparently a lot of the professors, especially some like old time ones who, you know, they were pretty awesome too, but they'd get mad when we bring up Frazetta, and he would call him Frazetta. So that was really funny. I mean, I don't know. I could see maybe things aren't right, but maybe he's a Liefeld to them. I don't know, but it's awesome. I love it. This guy
doesn't like him as much as I do.
Look at this guy. He's got. I don't know if he still has them anymore, or if this was at that museum or what. But I know that there was a while there was one collector buying a bunch of these.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What is he? Almost got the full run there, it looks like.
Yeah, I think so. And then, God damn, I'm having trouble with this stupid Zoom on this program today. But then, you know, he left comics and did primarily book covers, which are amazing. And then, you know, movie stuff.
Oh, yep, a lot of movies.
I love this Conan cover here. It's got amazing. The color and the lighting is just incredible. I guess, you know, Eerie Comics, right? They used some of this. He did stuff for the covers for some of those, and I tried looking into some of that, but it's weird. Like I think it was Eerie, but like they would have like the same cover multiple times, even in the run. So you could probably get some cheap.
I'm going to show you guys who I don't know if it was influence on him, but I share a certain
go for it.
passion. I'll do it in a minute. You just keep showing that. That actual go back to that.
Oh, well, you could show put me large on screen.
Okay, I'll put you on large. Can you and show that last one? There's been an homage of that cover, that death one, that painting.
Well, I'm going to show this.
Oh, yeah. Show your original art. Yeah. That is an original Frazetta. Show it a little higher.
Yeah, that's real cool.
Yeah, sorry. Let me get this stupid thing. Cancel. God. Sometimes laptops are the worst. Okay.
I agree with you. That's actually all I use now. Desktops. I have a desktop. I just don't plug it in.
This is from the Buster Cab.
Yeah. Buster Crab.
Buster Crab.
Krusty Krab.
Which I still can't believe I got this for under 2K.
Nice. Wow. So I did.
Yeah, hey, I have one more actually. I forgot I had another Frazetta.
Oh, nice. Ricky, sorry about that. Didn't to out there.
Oh, nice.
Viking.
Cool.
This is 1988, so one of his later ones. You know, it's not as good as his other stuff, but pretty cool. This has stories inside, I think, by Jack Kirby. Story by Jack Kirby, cover by Frazetta. Yeah, I don't know. It's a cool kind of 80s book. Came out in the summer of 88.
That's Kirby?
No,
that's the story by Kirby.
Oh, okay.
But it's got all this like I don't know, sort of like Game of Thrones fantasy type Hercules.
Conan.
Yeah.
Frazetta loved Conan, as did Wrights and as did Buscema. So it's like the trip. That's why I love a big Conan fan.
Yeah, this book, I don't know. I saw this. I was digging through a long box somewhere, but it's got some Frazetta stuff in the back. I I found this for $1. I was like, why not? In the back, it's got an article with a photo of Kirby and Frazetta, and it's got a little write up about when the two met. It's got some Frazetta art in it.
Wow, nice.
And that's a few pages long.
Yeah, I'll have to break out some fanzines next time that I have, but I didn't really go through.
You still have that Frazetta book, DS?
Oh yeah, I do. I haven't opened it.
Nice.
So yeah, this is a cool little thing. I tried to sell it, nobody was interested, so I just kept it. It's a cool thing to read. It's not worth a lot, but it's got a Frazetta cover. It's got that article in the back. It's got Kirby's story, and I don't know. It's kind of cool for 1988. Yeah, I have that Frazetta.
So this
I'm not gonna pull it out again because it just makes me want to open it.
This is Robert Fawcett here, and this is where this was probably, I'm not sure of the year, but it's the 30s, early 30s, if anything. He drew a lot of items like this, and another example of Robert Fawcett is this. And he's one of, I know he was, I've always heard the comparison when dealing with artists and stuff. I always bring up, well, what do you think of Robert Fawcett? Like, he's a legend in his own right, and I always wanted to have some of his work. Just trying to find it, it's impossible. There's a book on him, but Buscema mentioned him, and so has Frazetta mentioned him as someone that they cherished. So,
what did he do?
A lot of the 20s and 30s. Well, he did some pulps, but a lot of what Robert Fawcett did was like pulp, but pop culture pulp, like movie of like silent films, needed posters and stuff. He did a lot of that. I mean, he's just an amazing one. I'm sure I'm missing our guy in the chat who's going to help us out here, our good buddy here. But let me show you what I consider. This is the tail end of Frazetta doing work, but it's my favorite run of any Frazetta work. And I'm going to open each one, take them out of their poly bags, because these are all going to go to CGC anyway. First, they're going to go to Mike, Heroes Restoration, maybe for a pressing, because some of these I can't keep my hands off of. But I'll go over them right now. But first, I'll bring it on the big screen here. My favorite Frazetta works, not of the Golden Age and the Buck Rogers and everything we just saw, is his work with Jim Warren's publishing.
Yeah.
And so this is Creepy number 5. This was, this is a beautiful copy of it, and I'm not going to toot that, but it is great. Now look at the detail is not just on the vampire, but look around carefully how much detail there is in the entire painting. And his painted work is what I think sets him apart to be the $5 million artist that he is. So that's Creepy number 5. Here's number 6. Okay, here's number 6. Again, the fear in this guy's face and the detail on it. I recommend. Now, this is redone in Erie, in a later Erie. It's done a few times in there, but Frazetta, he was part of one of the first ones, and he's in a lot of these. If you see Warren publishing books, especially the early ones, just grab them. I mean, eventually they led to guys like Norum and Joe Jusko and Sanjuin, all guys that did painted covers for Jim Warren. Steranko did one. All great works, but this is number 6, another great one. And that just the gargoyle with the red eyes. Again, it's the two-tone where the red eyes match the red shirt, and it's just perfect there. Then I've got here, let's go number 7. Let's go in order. And again, a vampire getting attacked by a werewolf and the details in the background. Again, I just love the creepy books here. The Duel of the Monsters. This is a great book. Again, Jim Warren publishing, not Golden Age, but we do, it's Frazetta's birthday, so we're stretching outside of there. The muscles. I mean, you could tell that's a werewolf. There's no doubt what that is. And there's no doubt that that's a vampire, what it is. The hair and everything. I just think this is one of the best works there is. And what I consider my personal favorite of the bunch is this one. Because there's nothing that's similar really about any of this. I've never seen anything like it other than maybe a few Conans like this, but just Terror in the Dark Kingdom. This is a great... I recommend anybody who's interested in collecting art the interiors. The reason why I haven't sent these off ever to be slabbed because I picked up some reader copies of these, and I think it's time I get these slabbed for the value's sake, because these are all high nines and they're not they're not easy to come by in high grade. But that's those. That's my favorite Frazetta works there. And now I'm promised I'm going to shout out the chat. If you guys want to talk, let me bring this up here.
I still got my dad had these. So
I have them.
Grew up looking at these.
I have those. I got those probably around. I might have been in 5th grade. The first one I got.
I was just like, I gotta read that book. I don't know what the hell this is.
Mr. Great, great having you here. Mr. Gemmo says, happy Frazetta birthday. Great having Gemmo here. Comics for Thomas. Thanks for being here. Ricky Markstead is very good here. Stream Elements, the bot is watching us. That's so good right here. Emperor's Collectibles. Hey everyone, how's it going? Comic Mad Musing. Hey JD and DS. Hey gang. And then Howdy Cover Slingers Champion. Nice. I like that. Leonard Ortega. It's my birthday as well. Happy birthday, Leonard Ortega. Happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Nice. And Chris Barrett. The Cosmic King has arrived and reminding you all the slap nuts to watch the Comic Core this Friday. Oh, good for you. Yes. I'll be mentioning something about that towards the tail end of before we do the spinner rack in a little bit.
Hey, Gray Man. I'm going to be on Gray Man's show tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah.
I will be on
12
Thursday. Thursday, I'll be on Comic Art Fans with Bill Cox.
Oh, nice.
He's featuring me. I had to choose 12 pieces, and it took me a while. Eddie D. Comics and Games. Had no idea he was from Stroudsburg. That's like 30 minutes from where I grew up. Wow. That's nice. That's good to you. That's good. Sorry, Chris Barrett. Let me look down here. If I miss anybody, I apologize. I love this. I only have the Golden Age Gerbers. Mine have Silver Age in them. I don't know why. Mine are the Guide comic books, volume 1 and 2. So maybe those are more modern. I don't know.
Interesting.
I need to grab the Gerbers. We just talked a lot about Gerbers here. I love that. I'm haven't even adjusted the plastic off. Mine just sitting back and doing this on a nice cold -9 degrees Sunday. Kenneth Bird, great having you here. Thanks very much for joining us. We've got here DS and for Comics, Chris Barrett coming to the end. Leonard Ortega again, happy birthday. That creepy duel of the monsters is amazing. Yeah, it's one of those things that we have there. And here we've got John Heisen. Very good to have you here. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us.
I pulled this out. This was unsold store stock from 1999. It's in a poly bag right now, but inside the poly bag, it's still in the original cellophane wrapper, which is in excellent condition. So this is 1999, limited to 2,500. It's hand numbered on the inside. It has some previously unreleased Frazetta artwork in it. It's got a Frazetta stamped signature. It is a leather bound slipcase edition, and this thing is pretty big. I can't bring myself to crack it open because it's still sealed, and it may be the only sealed one still out there. And it's too cool. I really want to open it and look at it, but it's still sealed in the cellophane, and the cellophane's in perfect condition. I mean, this is like it just came off the factory sealing, and 1999, and it's unopened and mint condition. So I'm hesitant to open it, big screen but I would sell it, but I'm just keeping it as is. If somebody gives me a good offer, I'll sell it. But I don't know. Maybe a hardcore fan would want this, but it's really cool. I just can't bring myself to open it because it's still sealed.
Nice.
But I guarantee there's cool stuff in here, man. I just can't. I can't do it.
I'll be honest with you. That would last 30 seconds if I bought it.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it every day. Man, I should open that. But
I've been cracking open slabs again. That's because somebody told me to check out the interior of a book I had slabbed. I'm like, all right, I might as well. These Gerbers I got it from 1989. So 10,000 illustrated. Well, anyway, it's 21,000, 2 volumes. Great stuff. We'll be getting the spinner rack up and running right now.
Yep, I'm ready when you are.
Okay. We'll bring up the spinner rack, everybody. This is on Tuesday night. We are going the night before. We're going to hit the magazine stand because there are no comic shops yet. This is 19. What year are we starting in? 37, 38?
This is going to be 40. Well, we're doing the middle
Right.
of February now.
So we're now in the middle of February from 45 Atomic Age. We're post
46.
right.
Starting with
The
46.
bomb has been dropped. We are officially in the Atomic Age. Great era for all of us, except for Knights tends to like the wartime Schoenbergs more than anybody I know, but I love that. Him and Tech 31, right? Two biggest Schoenberg fans.
Yeah.
I know. So we're gonna go there now. Just to let you know, I'll be on Comic Art Fans. DS, you're gonna be on Gray Man Show.
I'll be on Gray Man Show
Knight's gonna be on Gray
tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific time.
Oh, I'll watch that. That's good. That's like 2 o'clock my time. That's good. I'll be done with my most of my work at that point, so that's good.
Yeah, I'll be at work day job, so I'll miss it.
I'll watch it. Yeah, I'm used to watching you during the day.
Yeah, I mean, look, Monday and Tuesday is my weekend, so
like
I go live, it's Monday or Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, you usually like my lunchtime / my snack time. So okay, I'm gonna bring up here. We are hitting the rack stand, the newsstand. We are out there, and the first thing we have up,
1946. So everyone's back from the war with their new girlfriends, and I think it seems like I looked at some lives just to see what was going on, and it seemed like it was a lot of stuff about vacationing. But
all right, so here we are.
This one I haven't seen very much at all.
DS, is this one of your? I mean, it's a title that I don't see that often.
It's an MLJ title. It's got really rich color strikes. I feel like the Black Hood doesn't sell as good as the other MLJ titles, and they're not as hard to find. I think they're later on. I think I saw this one recently on eBay. There might even be a couple of them. They're cool. They're just not for MLJ stuff. They're like towards the lower tier, which is still super cool. But compared to MLJ, I mean, MLJ stuff can be just off the chain cool. So
I was looking at MLJs this week too. So.
But yeah, these Black Hoods, they have really rich, deep color strikes, and they're available and they're not super expensive. So Black Hood is a good MLJ title to like entry level stuff to get into.
Nice.
I feel like there aren't too many gag ones, like gagged bondage.
Yeah, the Black Hood, mostly all of them are bondage covers.
Yeah.
But there's some pretty funky ones. There's some cool ones.
This one I put in because it says he's got gamma rays, which I thought was interesting.
Ooh. Yeah, nice.
Before the Hulk.
That almost looks like it will be a Centaur cover.
Gamma rays are directly from the Manhattan Project.
Oh, okay. Why did I put this here? Maybe because I haven't seen it before. Sparkling Stars. One.
It's bizarre.
Sparkling Stars, number 10?
Well, 64 pages.
Hell's Angels. Pretty cool book.
I do love the book in the book.
Yeah, that one's, for those who aren't familiar, that's just a regular comic book, but the cover is made to look three-dimensional as if it's a hardbound book. They did a couple of those. There's a Silver Streak, I think, or a Daredevil like that.
I know there's a Daredevil like that.
There's a timely one.
Anarcho one. I think it's Anarcho. It's a red cover. That one's like a book too.
I think there's a timely Young Allies.
Oh yeah, Young Allies. Yeah.
So not only did it spawn, a lot of people were doing it, but you said Liv Gleason was doing it, Ace Publications, and Timely. So. And
this is Jack Kirby, and this is a number 1. So if you're specking, grab yourself maybe a couple of these.
Yeah, find out. He's the guy who drew Captain America. So you're back and you're like, oh, this is what I got back to. Nice.
He didn't die in the war.
No, he did not.
Oh, I like the girl The ape is not good,
And the
but
pompadour on his head is just this is this isn't 55 on the Ed Sullivan Show, but it's certainly you can see in Elvis.
Yeah, the thrilling comics. The Zeelas are cool. Other than the Zeelas, really need like a war one. They're less than spectacular aside from those.
We're still at 46.
Yep.
I do now. This is a title where I've actually read a few of these.
Really?
They are bizarre. I read the Wanted ones. That's what I like. They are not the kind of detective stories that I thought they'd be, like the noir, the smoky room and the guy with the phone ringing and the private detective. They're not like that. It's just murder left and right that make no sense to the plot.
Well, it has like a weird, I don't know, almost like
Red Hood
Tarantino kind of style, weird,
yeah,
threatening vibe to it. I don't know.
Like a lot of there's some young King Coles with LB Cole covers and LB Cole art inside, and a couple of these they have little things for boys inside, like diagrams of guns and little things you can cut out to make something. They have cool little like activities here and there in these young King Coles, and it's similar to I don't know, Four Favorites is similar to that.
Yeah, that's a great. That's a good.
Why would he have a number 4 on there?
Well, there's not one story in these. If you look at them, there's like 4 or 5 of them, and
I mean on his hood.
Yeah, I never understood that. This is a cool cover though.
Yeah.
It's like a hooded man number 4 coming at you. Okay, now we're going to 47. Bathing suits.
I'm a fan.
I didn't want to go with girls really necessarily, but the life just went from like lots of war stuff and interesting kind of news stuff up to and during the war to just stuff like this. Well, yeah, everyone's happy except the Joker.
Except the Joker. How many bad luck things can happen to the Joker at once?
Oh, I like this one. This is pretty cool. It's like the Amazon bad girls.
Back from fighting the Nazis to having to deal with the Amazon women.
Getting Bucky out of trouble, And
I do love that one.
This one, yeah. I mean, I don't know if there are any other photo covers for Captain Marvel.
Well, you have the one in 1970, in the 70s one. If there's kids reading and Captain Marvel sitting there, and it's like a infinity cover. Like he's reading his infinity cover and he's reading to them. There is another photo cover early on in that run. But this is a very cool one. It actually shows you what New York looked like at that time. The Empire State Building. If when you watch King Kong in 1933, it's a building that now is not dwarfed by anything, but just there are other buildings around it other than the Chrysler Building, which was first. This was completed in 33 or 34, and Chrysler Building was completed about 5 to 10, well, at least 12 years before that. So you have those two buildings, but most of New York was still under 22 stories. And this is a 100-story, or 80 at the time, 100-story, but really meant 84-story building.
I saw a comparison of this building with some of the newest tall buildings, and I think it was like 7 of these, or like
10 of
them or something. It's insane.
Yeah.
Because I was a big building.
I mean, I lived not far from there at all, and you could see it from our house. You could see the skyline and everything. And I always looked at the Chrysler Building as I always thought it was bigger because I was coming from the east side. But when you got closer, the Empire State Building was always bigger. The Twin Towers were always to the left. They were much more south. So this is now. Are you going to spec on this or just going to get it? Because Robin's finally getting his due.
Well, isn't it like the second Catwoman cover ever?
Think, isn't it like the
Or is this the first? We were looking at one last
first? I think
This-
that's the first.
Oh,
I
maybe
think-
this is the first one then. Yeah.
Catwoman cover, and I think this is also the first time she's called Catwoman. She thinks she's the cat in the first one.
I think this is the first one in Detective, absolutely.
Right.
The other one was the first in Batman. Yeah.
Right. Good call.
Both good.
Yeah, good stuff.
Here you go, a little horror in your Bugs Bunny, Diaz.
Mel Blanc.
Yeah, that one's pretty dope. I like that.
Why does he have red gloves? I always wondered. I mean, only in this, right? Like, he doesn't have red gloves ever before. I don't know.
I don't know what he usually has. I mean, he's a rabbit, so he doesn't have normal hands, right?
He's just got white looking hands. I don't know. Here's like that same girl from the Cap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now this is when Human Torch. There's no Toro anymore, right?
Yeah, there's Toro. He's right there in
Okay.
like ice or something.
When I think is it the next issue or one of the issues right after this? You don't see Toro for a while.
Mm.
It's after
Yeah.
the
Well,
Allies.
it's getting real close to the end for them.
Yeah.
This is an early EC comic, so I thought that was pretty interesting.
Educational comics.
There's not too many. Well, I think it says entertaining.
Oh,
comic.
entertaining.
So they
Yeah,
want
this is the EC.
Well, the Bible. I think it might be the first EC, the Bible picture stories one or something. And then what? Educational comics, I think.
Educational comics was definitely in there. Yeah.
Yeah, these international comics are not easy to find either.
No.
The EC collectors that look for these, they're not easy to find. There's
Yeah.
only the big clown face on it.
Yep.
So
Rich from Bedrock City had one recently in a slab. I think it was a Crippen copy too. So
The lettering makes me think of like Crumb comic, the like independent stuff from the.
really common.
This one was just, I don't know, like nuclear war hell on Earth, I guess.
Mary
Interesting.
Marvel. We don't knock Mary Marvel. We like Mary Marvel.
And then we got here's another EC,
Mhm.
pretty cool cover. See, this says educational.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still, what are we in 47 now?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was. I always thought it was educational up until they got to.
Yeah, maybe my eyes just need to be checked. I feel like, I don't know, I'll have to look at that
So.
bigger. This is a shorts cover, but I still think it's got some nice water.
I actually do love Sid Shores. I do think he's great.
Well, his Namor's head was not.
No. Well, if you look at the first Namor cover done by Alex Schoenberg, his face doesn't look like anything since that. That's Submariner #2? Or no, Marvel Mystery 2.
Marvel Mystery 4.
Marvel Mystery 4. That one, if you look at that cover, look at Namor's face, he's much more, he's not as, not deformed, but not as triangular in his face format. It's much more your typical superhero chiseled face, that first Alex Schoenberg.
Yeah, I think he still has the ears.
Yeah, he does the ears, but it's just something very, I mean, it's a great book. It's also the first Nazi flag. It's 1940, so is that the first Nazi flag? Is in that one, right?
It's the first timely Nazi flag.
Timely Nazi.
And it's like a month or two after the first one in Top Notch 2.
Right. There we go. Thank you very much.
Good one. But the colors, I love the colors of that water. It looks great.
Yeah, I think I did a good job. Susie, these are popular.
Yeah, trying to figure out how to sell these books, and I'm sure that was one way. And yeah, teenage fun, passing the ring. This is 48 now.
No
Oh yeah,
way.
I like this cover. I didn't.
I like it, boys.
I never really looked at this before, and it reminded me of this issue from the '80s,
Yeah, good call.
where it's all silent.
I do like if the '80s Airboy. If you ever get a chance, it's too good for its time. I call it. Yeah.
Look how good Larry Hama's breakdowns
Yep.
are. I mean,
Larry Hammond is so good at that one.
they didn't have to do much to that at all.
He's on my list of original art I've always wanted to have with some Larry Hama Airboy.
You can half-ass things
No,
sometimes. So if you're doing a commission, so be careful.
no, I would only want the original art.
I thought this was a rather tame Barreau cover, but
Well,
Yeah, a lot of those have just the whole story on the cover.
which was very common in 1948. Was the biggest books that came out in 48 were crime. You had Atlas putting out crime fighters. You had Lawbreakers Always Lose coming out. You had Charles Barrow and Liv Gleason and his work there. You had a lot of crime that was coming out because you're post Elliot Ness world, post war. So we go through that. And now crime is one of those things that is selling on TV, selling in movies, and it's selling in comics. And
Yeah, I think 45 to 49 is a lot of crime and romance. I feel like is the two biggest for that period of time.
And not only did you get fiction crime, you got a lot of true crime, which was really good for me going into it because I always got into how much of it is based on a true story versus how much is, pretty much.
I like how he put his signature on the back of the chair. And they claim more than 6 million readers monthly. I don't know about that. But,
Well, I don't know. I researched the print runs on some of this stuff, and it's amazingly high, some of the print runs and distribution on some of these books in the 40s.
Crazy.
When the pulps in the 30s had massive print runs in the millions on the pulps. Wow. And then when comics came into their own into the 40s and after World War II, the print runs were real high on some of these comics. I think they tailed off as the 50s came and they had to figure out new things to do. And that's when they tried, the horror stuff, the Westerns, a bunch of other stuff. And then they finally figured out superheroes, and that's a whole new era. But the print runs are really surprisingly high on a lot of
well, maybe that's true.
Lev Gleason was he was like the biggest publisher at the time, really.
Right, he was. And this was
that's another one, right? Yeah, that's another one.
I just want to show a crime book from the same year that I just want to give me 1 second here and want to.
You even got the whole book on you've got a whole page on your front cover here.
Yeah, this is Crime Fighters number 4, right?
Oh, that's a cool one.
Crime Fighters number 4. This is known as the first Buscema paid work. First work he ever did, actually, unpaid. His first work is in here, which is a story about the robbery of Abraham Lincoln's grave. This is it right here. But the interesting thing about these is a lot of them are all true stories, and it starts with this story is true. Now, the FBI was in its infancy at this time, and what they did prior to the SOTI world and everything else and Dr. Wertheim and his bullshit was they had ads in here, and a lot of it was, we're looking for this guy. He's a top 10 FBI most wanted person. And they would include a brief little synopsis of who it was. So like, it would be like tracing the hit and run driver and how to stop him down and the race for death. And they would do the story and he's still at large. And it made you want to like play detective in this way. And this is where your decoder rings come from and your, how to help the police and what to do to help us fight crime. And that was very much a part of 1948 or 49. Quite a bit of books from 48, actually. Most of my 48 books that aren't Jungle are the crime ones. And it goes all the way up to 52 that they're in there. But whether it be a true story about Abraham Lincoln's grave or let's play detective, for example. Here's a crime that hasn't been solved. What do you think would happen? And then you would write to them with what your synopsis of what would happen. So this is November of 48, but I have a few from August of '48 that do the exact same scenario. So crime was very big in this time.
And Crime and Punishment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of when they do this to the covers of books.
You mean they tell the whole story in the front?
Well, just like all this little, it's just not what the cover should be.
Here's a book I'm going to buy. It's written by the nephew or the son or the grandson or somebody of Lev Gleason. His name is Brett Dakin, and it's more than about just comics, but it's sort of the history of the United States in this era as it relates to Lev Gleason. And he was really big on freedom of the press and freedom of expression, and it sort of intermingles the whole Red Scare stuff, McCarthyism that's going on, and Lev Gleason's personal thoughts on it, along with his comic business. And it's sort of a look at this era in United States history from sort of the perspective of comic books and publishing and free expression. So this is a book I'm definitely going to buy. I just haven't bought it yet. But from what I've heard, I've read little excerpts, I've read reviews. I think the guy who wrote this has an Instagram page too, where he gives little snippets of it. Really sounds engaging. So I'm going to pick this up, and it sounds like a really interesting read. So
Cool.
Anyway, that's it.
The FBI was only about 15, maybe 16 years old at this time. J. Edgar Hoover was. And the CIA didn't exist yet. It was still mostly Navy OSS. But the impact that they used in the comics to get to the crime is they knew it was a venue for them, and they used it. And it's propaganda in a way, but it was crime and stuff like that. Let's get back to the...
I like this title, the name. It's a great name. 14 Years. I almost feel like, would you get in trouble for, I don't know, doing a book about kids that age now? I almost feel like, be careful.
I don't know. I mean, there's that Netflix series called Cuties.
I haven't seen that one.
Well, you shouldn't watch it.
I probably will.
We got, okay, yeah, so this is 1948. Frazetta turned 20.
Yeah, nice, good call.
So that's just to give you where we were at in history. I like this. Like the cars are almost driving on there, like, you know, flat, as if it's like you're seeing perfectly down on them. So it's an interesting art piece, the perspective and all that.
Ferries were pretty commonly used, but then when they started doing suspension bridges over various parts of the big cities, was very new.
And we got pretty kind of
now,
like Kirby-ish
book.
Green Hornet.
That's Kirby.
Oh, okay.
Inside is on that book is a parody of Superman called, I think he's called the Superpower Man. The Superpower.
Oh,
nice. There's a parody of Superman in there, drawn and written by Kirby. This book is a great book to find if you have it. Green Hornets themselves. A lot of the reading of a lot of the books during this time were drivel, with the exception of the crime. And the Green Hornet was the superhero who was really fighting crime at this time. When we talked earlier, like last week when we were going over this run, we were talking about Sandman, and this was a different era. This era here, the Green Hornet was literally fighting crime in a way not like Batman's fighting a Joker. Green Hornet was fighting actual criminals that were out there, and it was pretty cool the way they did this. But in this one, Jack Kirby, I don't know if he did the cover, but I know he's in the inside of this book, and there's a Superman parody in there. Check it out.
It really looks like him. It looks like
it could be him on the cover. I know he's definitely in there for sure, but that book has a lot of people in it. If you give me a second here, let me look. There's a lot of people in that book that you would love. I mean,
here's a sign.
Kirby, there's some for cover art. Kirby did some covers for Green Hornet. I know Schomburg did some covers for Green Hornet.
Schomburg is in that book too somewhere.
And the early ones have a really cool like movie poster style to them.
So it's Green Hornet. What number was that?
That's 38.
Right. I always forget that number. 38. Okay, now I mean that book is stacked with people in there. It is stories and art by Joe Simon, C.C. Beck, Pete Costanza, Bob Powell, Bill Drop Buford, Tugner Al Iverson, Jack Kirby. Simon and Kirby spoofs Superman himself, called The Superior Male. I apologize. There's the boxer Kid Adonis in there, and Captain Tootsie saves the school party. I mean, but if I go through that who's who of who the artists were in that one and the contents of that book, you've got Al Avison, Bob Powell, Jack Kirby, Joe Simon, Bill. Who else do we have in there? C.C. Beck. I mean, you've got a who's who in that. So it's just a great book overall.
Yeah, another interesting thing about Green Hornet, I think, unlike a lot of this era's superheroes that first appeared in comics or comic strips or pulps, I think the first appearance of Green Hornet was actually on radio. I think he started as radio. And then moved on to other media. But usually you hear the first appearances in a comic strip or a pulp or a comic book or something. And then they get TV and radio after it. But I think he started on radio.
And this has got to be the only Kirby cover that is almost a swastika shape.
Close.
Just one line away.
Yeah.
He would have been in big trouble.
Yeah, I know there's one issue Schomburg did a cover for, which is pretty cool. It's a bondage cover, and it's got a lot of action. It's a pretty classic Schomburg, and it's pretty tough to find, but I want to get it if I ever come across a nice copy of it, but it's
Green Hornet.
Very difficult. Very difficult to find.
Early Crime Patrol.
I do have a Golden Age hardcovers of Green Hornets. That's where I found all that stuff in there.
Yeah, this is a COVID story, the Plague of Death.
Oh yeah,
right there.
And Moon Girl's in it.
Yeah, this one is. It sells pretty good. It's notoriously hard to find in nice shape. Usually they're low grade, and it seems like they're usually very tanned or just like brittle looking or something. It's tough to find a nice looking copy of this.
Is that a vial of like?
Yeah, I think he's dumping a vial of germs on everybody.
Oh man,
I never owned this book. It's not on my list, but I know when I see a nice copy come up, it sells quick. So it's sort of sought after. It's a sneaky hot book.
Yeah. I like the gorilla mask on this one. It's pretty funny.
Well, it's actually a pretty of the Jungle Books. That's one of the most tamest women you have.
And she's got those cool pants, those like that you see on like
Rocket. Yeah,
and Valkyrie from Airborne.
Yeah. Well, we should get
What's the deal with those pants? Are they? Oh, and she's got her foot's. I just noticed is in like a bear trap.
She's not even flinching.
Yeah, she's like, just get him away from me.
Fake gorilla. Junior. Popular title, by the way.
Yeah, apparently that's a very short skirt for back then because he's freaking.
Very popular title.
He's a horror orphan.
That's cool. I like that.
Wow, what's going?
Number one.
That girl always got in trouble.
Let's see if there's one on eBay. I'm curious. What is that? Number one?
Yeah, number one.
That's Dell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
1948.
Yeah. What was the first Dell?
That's a pretty cool art too. That style.
Yeah, I like it.
I don't know what the first Dell is. I think they go back far.
He was Tarzan.
Yeah, you can get 1, 2, and 3 complete run for $70 or best offer on eBay.
Nice.
Wow.
And they look like they're in decent shape. Yeah, they're like upper mid grade or even one's a little lower, maybe a VG, but the other two look like they're like fine range. They're nice. Yeah,
Chris, I was thinking the exact same thing.
I like this.
Manhunt is a
one.
good title.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good.
Yeah, that one was cool. I like that one. Manhunt 1 is my favorite Ogden Whitney work ever. Ogden Whitney did a lot of stuff, but he did some HTV stuff.
Was that the shadow on the wall?
No, number one is it's a hooded guy with an axe on a roof trying to catch and chop up a girl who has escaped to the edge of the roof and is just going to the gargoyle. And there's a cop in the background coming to help. That's Manhunt 1. This is also the title that had that Manhunt 12, which was thought not to exist. And it has since popped up a few times, and it's only a Canadian version was made of Manhunt 12. And they sell for many thousands of dollars because it's thought to be super rare. Now, for a while, they thought none existed that didn't even show up, and like on my comic shop, it wasn't even there. And then one came up, and I think like 2 O's and 3 O's. There's like maybe 3 or 4 known copies now. Like a 3.0 goes for like $7,000 or $8,000 now. So, but look, it's like anything else though. When you think it doesn't exist, and then you find out that it does, it makes me think there's plenty of them out there. And now the price is shown. I think we'll see more over the coming years show up.
And speaking of, big ones, this is definitely a big one on the many different.
This cover does nothing for me.
It's not my favorite run, and it's very overvalued in my opinion. The Manhunt.
I would take it.
The Manhunt I was thinking of, the Ogden Whitney one, was Manhunt 2 with the person behind the desk, the man green grabbing the blonde woman with the shadow of the guy behind her as the outline. Yeah. Thanks for the Gerbers again. I just love them. Manhunt 12.
This, what is it? At least 2,000 or something entry level.
Yeah, I mean, it is a Baker cover.
The key.
What does the Gerber say about Manhunt 12?
It's not in here.
It doesn't even have a blank. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. People didn't think it existed.
Yeah. Now she does have great elbows, by the way.
I think her head is just a little small, actually. I don't know.
I mean,
it's a little weird.
I think that's average at best, in my opinion.
It's just an iconic book. Like, I don't even really see it for what it is. I just see it as what it
but I mean,
is.
that Seven Seas book with the shark and the girl underwater blows this away, man. This is like average. I don't see anything about this that's good. I don't even like it.
I like the Phantom Lady, the one when she's at the ship's wheel, more.
I'll take both of them.
Okay. Now, I like this planet, and I know it's not a riveted one, but I do love this one.
She looks more in charge than the Phantom Lady, that's for sure.
Well, is that Mist of the Moon?
Correct.
Is it?
It's a great run. I mean, the planet. It's a great science fiction run, but it wasn't like a serial.
Oh, yeah.
But like they were like mini, like 30-minute episodes. And they just started something new every time. It wasn't one that you had to, if you missed it, you missed out. It just a whole new story almost every time. It was really cool with the same characters. It was just
somebody bought that Weird Science Fantasy 29 I was talking about. I don't know if it was somebody in the chat, but remember I said it was a really nice copy for a good price. It's sold. I'd be curious if there's somebody in the chat if they want to say that they got it.
Well, congratulations.
Copy.
Congratulations. I don't know if this is Zila or not, but it could be.
Yeah, it is.
It's Zila.
All those airbrushed are him, except for 2 that are Graham Ingles on the Startling. I think Startling Comics. Is it Startling, or I can't remember which one's this.
Now that one, the Wonder Comics. There's a pulp that looks exactly like that.
I like that one a lot. That's cool.
That's a good one.
And we got that's pretty cool. I feel like this reminds me of that Frazetta one that we just looked at.
Adventures.
You know what I'm talking about?
I always had this thing about him that I kind of, and yes, this is more your dark GA world. I kind of think of him as like the undervalued, underappreciated great works of that. And I know that they're common and they're easy to find, some of them, but I always liked them. For some reason, there's something about that, whether it be, whoever the artist is at the time didn't really matter. It was just they always add something to it. You have
Yeah, this one, this is the early ones in this title are cool, and then they sort of lose a little of their elegance as it goes on. But this one always reminds me of Spellbound 3.
Worm.
Yeah, you can see it there. It's very similar. It's reversed, but heavy shadowing in the cave. Always reminds me of that one.
Mm-hmm.
This Airboy cover reminded me of this.
Oh yeah,
It's like
Yeah.
There you go.
it's like totally in the Fight Club.
yeah.
And I really like this cover. That thing's awesome looking. They're just walking right into his mouth, I guess. The Isle of No Return. That's pretty horrific, don't you think, DS?
Yeah, I think it is. It's a cool book. It's got the tiny red circle.
Well, I was gonna talk about that. Marvel. So this is a Marvel comic logo. I think they started it. I don't know if it was this month, but it was shortly right around this. But you could see it here, and it's very similar to the old. If you look down at the bottom left, it's a red circle. So it's
the Red Circle magazine.
very similar.
Yeah.
And Goodman's, and that's an awesome pulp, by the way. That's very overpriced all the time. But
It's very high. It's between the Weird Tales and the Uncanny Tales, you're going to spend money.
yeah, I don't.
1951.
I don't know if they're worth as much as the people on eBay want them to be.
You can find them, and I don't buy pulps on eBay.
Yeah,
everybody's inflated them.
Well, you either get it super cheap or it sits there forever at like $1,000 or whatever.
Yeah,
I'll be hitting a few antique shops, not this weekend, but the following weekend to look for pulps. I'm on a pulp hunt next couple of weekends. So,
but I was gonna just go through a couple of Marvel's logos here, because what Martin Goodman, the publisher, used to like to do is call things different. He'd have like different companies. He had all these different companies so that if he could just bankrupt it at whatever, one of these could go out of business, and then he wouldn't have to pay the artists, or if he owed anyone money, it didn't matter because it would be some other name and it wouldn't be connected to him somehow. And I don't know, he knew all these loopholes, especially back in the pulp days. But there's a whole book on that, and it's he did some nasty stuff, and there he is.
Yep,
the man of glass, they say. Apparently he was frail or something. He would only sit on pillows, or I don't know.
He didn't have emotion. They always used to say. This crimes against the crimes by women. This is a heating up on the boards. Anytime I see any of these things, there's take bots all over them.
They're great.
They are.
Do you think the take bots are resellers?
Some, because I've seen a book that I sold to someone that's been out there and somebody else bought it now, and I've seen it back.
Yeah, most of I feel like most Golden Age collectors
Okay, buddy?
also hustle Golden Age comics. It's not...
You okay?
Not like Silver Age or Bronze, where you have people that just strictly collect, and then there's people that also sell. I feel like part of the Golden Age hobby is selling. I think everybody does some selling.
Oh yeah, we all do it. I mean, I'm planning on turning some books into some art or gold and real.
There's a couple that don't sell anything, and they have multiple copies of everything. They never sell anything.
Yeah, there are a few.
Good for them. They've got killer stuff.
What is that about? Because I've noticed that in myself. Sometimes I don't think I need, like, I never go into it thinking like, oh, I'm going to get this book and then I'm going to get more of it. It always just kind of happens slowly. And then before I know it, I have like dupes.
Yeah.
I want to get rid of them. I don't know.
I'm so bad with wanted titles. I have I don't even know which ones I have, but I do know which ones I have. But if I see another one on the boards, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get that too. And for some reason, I have like multiples of rare books where there's like 4 or 5 on the census, and I'm sitting with 3, 2 slabbed and 2 raw, you know. And I mean, it is a great bronze. But then I did it with I've got a lot of doubles of elephant covers, and that just happens. But and I don't know how many different multiple copies of Thor's I have. I mean, Criminals on the Run. Again, crime story. But
That'll be cool, right?
That's all be cool. It's a he sort of homaged a lot of his earlier stuff and changed it a little and did later stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you.
Very Will Eisner spirit-esque in the.
There's one of his books that's a really popular book, very expensive, very cool, and it is sort of takes elements of this, and I mean you'll see it, and you can be like, oh yeah, I definitely. So I don't know what year that is, but this one is 1946.
This is 49.
All right, so this one came first actually then, and it's Suspense Comics 11.
Oh.
And of course, it's a much bigger book.
I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah, you can see
Yeah.
the similarities. Now, obviously, this is a way better book. It's got the devil wearing the $ bling. And, yeah, this Suspense Comics 11. This is a pretty big book. But, yeah, you can see this. He uses a lot of similar elements in his books. Not direct swipes, but like Suspense 8 and Startling 11, Target Comics and Mask 1. There's a lot of similarities in those. Oh yeah, that's it.
Here's another one of his.
No, JD's got to put you back up.
Oh, sorry.
Oh. Sorry. One more.
Call, yeah.
I like this cover a lot. There's a bunch of them on eBay. Not too expensive, but not cheap enough where I was like, oh, I'll get that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's cool.
Pretty cool cover. I'm guessing, well, it could be Kirby. There's a lot of elements that look very like Kirby. So, and we got, yeah, there's a lot of
cover.
Photo, and then there's the Marvel logo again. Looks good on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the romance. This is 50, right?
49.
Yeah, so. The romance hit in 50, like the big time, 50, 51. This is when crime started. Well, crime was still around, but the romance really kicked in. Photo covers as well.
Retelling, I believe, of his origin or something.
I don't know. See, I was going to ask you. The Marvel stuff that came out at this time was mostly just reprints of the original runs, right?
I don't think so. But I know that they had, at one point, they had a backlog of art. And Goodman was like, what? We're sitting on like, it was like cabinets full of art that they had, bought or whatever, and just hadn't printed yet. And then Goodman made Stan Lee fire everybody. But I feel like that was in the mid 50s maybe. But I don't know. I'll have to look into that because, I know there's definitely some news stories in this for sure. There might be some reprints, but I don't know if they did that much back then. But
I don't ever see that book for sale.
Yeah, the later ones just aren't.
Do you think that makes it more like sought after? Like if I came across that, you think it'd be easy to move because timely completists would be looking for that, or what?
I don't think it would. I don't think it would be hard to move. I don't know if you double your money or whatever, but like I do. And there's some people like I know Tech 31. He says. Tech 31 Kid or whatever his name is, Primetime. But he knows a lot about scarcity, I think, more than I do, because he's been collecting timelies for, I don't know, since the 90s. But he says a lot of the later ones are a lot harder to find. And I don't know if it was because they weren't printed as much, or they were like the super early ones are hard, and then apparently it got easier because they printed more, like maybe right around when the war started.
Yep.
And then as the war tailed off, they didn't print as many or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and comic book 1962. Yeah, World War II are the most sought after.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah,
Some of these really late issues, I never see them for sale, and I wonder if that gives them a little. I mean, they're not really that cool, but they're pretty rare. So I think it would be easy to move. But yeah, the World War II stuff, that stuff is, is top of the list for Golden Age.
Yeah, there's a few exceptions of books like post World War II in the timely superhero world, and obviously those, you think of the weird Captain America's Weird Tales 70, whatever that was, 73, 76, that whole run.
Yeah.
But then the Twitler says, and I read a stat that said 7 million comics were sold a month during their World War II era heyday. That's more than likely. That's a great statistic right there, because there probably was a lower print run post the war, because during the war, Marvel Timely or whatever was only putting out 3 or 4 titles. Post-war, you had many more titles. and many genres too. You had everything they were doing, the crime. They had 4 or 5 crime ones alone, 4 or 5 post-war ones alone, and romance ones. And just look at Atlas, and their titles of Atlas outnumber Timely dramatically.
And also, there was a time when, like when I was first getting in Timely's, I don't know, around 2005 or 10 or something, no one cared about anything except after, like anything after the war, like it was like dog crap. So, but then once everything got super kind of more, the popularity seemed to, I don't know, pick up, and Golden Age prices kept getting more and more expensive, then people were buying up these because they were cheap, and then now they're disappeared. So I don't know. I did look on eBay recently at Timely's, and I was amazed at how many copies you could find of a lot of books now. It's incredible. Like, I mean, it's way more expensive than when I was buying a lot, but I never had like a choice of like, maybe I'll get that one because the grade and blah blah blah. Like, or you could like actually play, it was never a buyer's market like it is now. Like, you could be like, well, the other 3.3 is a little bit better, like you couldn't do that. And now I feel like I don't know what's going on, and they kind of sit there. They're not cheap, I guess, but it's just, I had to wait sometimes months just to even get a crack at something. And you were just hoping it wasn't too high of a grade or too low of a grade for it'll either be crap or you can never afford it.
Great point.
Funny Moon Girl.
Yeah.
This is a great one too.
I like that one. I like that more than I like the other one.
Yeah, I had to get 2. I would take this and the other one. And this shadow, it reminded me of this
Indiana Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, we've always every time I've seen that shadow, the first thing I think of is this scene.
And you don't want to be punching polar bears anymore.
Super Snipe is a cool title. That's got one really expensive one where he's throwing Hitler down.
Yeah.
Now the
like this girl is pretty awesome.
Well, do you know who did a lot of the Texan stuff?
That's Matt Baker.
Baker.
It's a great book.
So much of that the Texan run, which is I mean, I guess it'd be St. John's. It was pre-Orbit. Orbit would come out with bought the title later on, but it was Baker's, and who is the guy who wrote it? Larson was his name. Howard Larson, who this was like just something. This is all he wrote. Like all I know him ever doing was this run, and that's a pretty popular book. But you can get a nice copy of that, and I think it's an underrated Baker work. To be honest with you, I think it's very good for Baker. It's something different of his you can pick up, and it's pretty common enough. I mean,
Well, there's only one on eBay, and the guy's asking $1,000.
what grade is it?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not worth that. I mean, unless it's like a high 8 or something like that, maybe, but maybe then that's a little bit much. I mean, you could pick up a nice, reasonable, fine copy of it for probably around $500 to $700 easily, depending.
I think this is one you could find a copy at a con in a box.
Yeah.
I mean, this is super similar for Baker, and it's actually not even the best of the Texan.
But yeah, there's a lot of great Texans. I think there's only 4 issues, but this one I always there's something about the way that the skirt is blowing and her angle and the way Matt drew it. It's great work in there. The linear work is amazing.
I like the hats falling off. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Just a great comic book.
Hello. Look at that bubble bath. I was surprised to see that on the life cover.
Yeah.
1950. This is it. Our last month. I like this cover. That's pretty cool. These horrific looking demon, whatever the hell's.
Well, what's his name did almost every cover.
Ken Bald.
Did every single cover of these, and again, Adventures into the Unknown, and it's a fun stuff. And Ken Bald just he's just his own character. Nothing was really stellar about him. No great line work, no great artwork, but nothing was bad either. I
always think of this as Challengers of the Unknown for some reason.
Well, there's another one.
And then look at this. Does this predate the thing, or what was that thing called? The man.
The Heap.
The Heap, yeah.
Yeah. What year is this?
1950.
No, Heap was out before that.
The Heap was in the 40s. Is that the Heap there?
I don't know.
The thing about Airboy,
these Airboy books, all the other comics started to get down to reasonable sizes, and Airboy is just like, screw it, full size.
You can't.
These books, even into the 50s, are so huge.
Yeah. I love them, but one thing about the Airboys, there are some volumes. I mean, there's like 5 or 6 volumes. There are some of them, particularly volume 4, that are extremely hard to find. Where volume 3 and volume 5 are rampant all over the place. Volume 4, there's a few issues of some of them where they are like impossible to find Airboys. And I always wanted to, I ask a guy in the boards all the time who knows a lot about Airboys. He goes, "Yep, it's just one of those books that you never see. It's just one of those of the volume before they switch to the next volume." They had that. But the Heap was, I think, 40. He's after the war, but not too far after the war.
Here's a bird cover for you.
A penguin.
Yeah.
And look at that. I love that one. Do you still have one of these, or did you ever have?
DS has got a great copy of this one.
I have a 4.5 of this.
Yeah.
It presents better. Where is that?
Yeah, it's LB Cole. I'll pull it out if you want to see it.
Yeah, I love that book.
So good.
This is my favorite. When I go into the comic shop and they say, "Hey, we got a new Blue Bolt in," is it? And I always ask him, "Is it one of the 104, 105?" And he's like, "No, that's what I don't want to see it." I mean, I like the Blue Bolt.
Definitely my top 3 Coles.
Yeah, so this is it's one of the best Coles, but just for Golden Age sci-fi overall, it's one of the best Golden Age sci-fi covers.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just love that book. I mean,
that'd go well with that Jumbo Fine, that with the spear.
Yeah, Jumbo. Is it 5?
I think it's 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty nice. The thing holds this grade down is this chunk missing.
Right, but it presents so well for that grade.
Yeah, it's really a nice looking copy.
That thing on the back? That's it? Oh, man, you scored.
Yeah, I know. The fronts, I mean,
Who cares
front
what's on the
is
back?
solid. I mean, it's not wrapped.
Jumbo 10 is the one with the lupine, with the spear going through the animal. I think it's a jumbo. Yeah, it's jumbo 10.
I mean, even the corners on this are pretty sharp. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the first four.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, those are.
Yeah, the first 4 or 5 jumbos are like the Thanksgiving and
Yeah.
they're more are campy. It wasn't until jumbo number 9 that it got really much more. Well, it went from being a 5-panel cover to a 1-panel cover. That's beautiful. Great job. Thanks for bringing that out.
Yeah, I thought I got a deal on this because
You did. I was pissed.
the next day on the boards, a 4.5 that did not look as good as this sold for like 20% more than I paid for this. I feel like I have a deal on this. Now there's a fair number on the census, but nobody ever comes off them, so they don't ever come to market.
Yeah, everybody who owns one. It's just a great book. And yeah,
my top 3 sci-fi. I have a Starling 49, this, and a Planet Comics 1. Those are like my top 3 sci-fi. And they're all in the top 10 for sci-fi golden age. So yeah, I love this book.
There was a recent pedigree of Planet 2 that showed up.
It was Crimes by Women.
Yep, good. Green dress. Pet.
Kind of a creepy Joker-ish cover. And look, Doctor Doom.
Yes, it is. Doctor Doom.
I don't mind this cover.
Torchy is amazing good girl art, especially the submarine cover.
I like this.
I own that one. Actually, I think I have I might have a 4.0 slabbed in that. I was a little upset with that grade, but it should have been a 5.5. Knowing me, I should have gotten a 5.5.
Dr. Voodoo.
Yeah, that's a really cool it's my of all the fight comics, that is my favorite cover of the fight comics, to be honest with you.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
And then look at that horror for Porky Pig, DS.
Nice. I like when they have the cartoon horror ones.
There's a Mighty Mouse one that's got a horror theme to it.
The Black Hooded. And then I just always seem to see this when I think of Western books. I don't know.
There's like 85 copies on eBay of that.
Yeah,
I don't know who the hell this is, but
it's Gabby Hayes, and you could find them. I used to say if every cigar shop, antique shop, every con, I see about 4 or 5 copies of that lying around, and it's just a giggle every time.
I like this cover. It's pretty cool. Lady Luck.
Lady Luck, good title.
Black. It's most beautiful enemy.
We're in 51, right?
No, 50.
50. So this is the start of the love. Soon we're going to get into those. I don't know if you got them here, the photo covers.
The ACG romance titles are very, very difficult to find. Now they're not expensive, but if you were trying to complete a run of these, like go look for this title on eBay, and it's very, very tough to find these ACG romance titles. Some of them just never ever show up.
And he's leaving her for a dead person. It's pretty awesome.
Could be Cleopatra. You don't know. It's Liz Taylor in this year, so
it's kind of a horror book, in a way. Classic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Although I feel like, are there 2 of these covers then? Because I feel like
it's Canadian. Is sure it's not Canadian?
I don't know.
The other one's like a yellow cover, I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Red almost.
And I think she says something different on that one.
She says, "Just what do I have to do to get those?"
Yeah.
What is she saying on this one?
I'll think it over.
Oh yeah, it's different.
Maybe it's 2 different books. Maybe it's Canadian.
I can't remember the other name of the other one, but it's a yellow cover, and she's saying, "Just what do I have to do to get those?"
Mm-hmm. But that'd be a great pair to have.
There's new Torchy coming out according to Comic Book 1960. We'll have to check that out. Hang on. We got the Spirit, and usually I stopped reading Spirit in 1945. I stopped, but now Spirit's got some great covers, of course.
That's a great one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Will Eisner art.
And this sums up what all the GIs were thinking when they got home. So And that's it for this week.
That's great.
And next week we'll do the rest of the Golden Age, 51 and up.
Nice. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us. We had a great show, birthday Frazetta celebration, as well as joining us for some spinner rackets and great conversations. Thank you guys again, showing everything we did and getting prepared for the show. That's great work. One more time, Knights, you are going to be on tomorrow on
the Gray Man channel.
Show.
Tomorrow at 12 Pacific.
I will be,
which would be 3 hours before that. So yeah, 9.
That's Wednesday, and on Thursday on 9 o'clock, I think it is. Let me just double check the time with Bill Cox right here. I'll be on Comic Art Fans.
Awesome.
With Bill Cox, that is going to be at 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 7, and then 6 o'clock there. I'll be on. You can see there's a Bill just put out my thing. It's a picture of me with George Perez with the logo, but I'm not going to be focusing on my logo. I'm going to be focusing on how I collect and different ways I collect, whether it be sequential art or commission art or rare art that I have found. It'll be fun. Tomorrow night, the Dueling Dealers is on as well on Comic Art Channel, and the Friday show on Comic Core on this channel right here is going to be an amazing show, a Family Feud style show between two shows that are going at it. We have a special guest, Mr. Panda Red himself, the TikToker. I don't have TikTok, but he's a well-known TikToker. With his fans, he'll be joining the Comic Core on Friday night. We're looking forward to that, and that should be a great time. But thanks everybody for being a friend. Thank you all for being here. Enjoy your night. DS, did you want to say anything? I didn't need to.
No. No, I'll be coming up on a few shows, but I can't remember when or what so I don't know what's going on. But this is the end of my weekend, so I'm back to work for the rest of the week now. So I don't have anything going on.
Next week we'll have a special guest bringing in some 4 Fox books. It'll be a lot of fun. But see you guys then. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. And if you